October 20th. That is the date when a huge number of consumers in China are likely to stop paying their mortgages. This summer, a letter was signed by over 100 angry owners of the stalled Dynasty Mansion project in Jingdezhen, Jiangxi Province, China. The letter stated that all homeowners with outstanding mortgages will stop paying unless construction resumes by October 20th. And in fact, some already stopped paying. But wait, these people are making mortgage payments even though their homes are not finished yet? Yes, and that is due to the somewhat unique way homes are sold in China, which shares many characteristics with a Ponzi scheme. And in this video, we are going to explain it all. This is Dirty Money. So a Ponzi scheme is a certain type of financial scam where you promise investors a certain return, but in order to pay that return, you have to use some of the money of investors that come later to pay your earlier investors. It was named after Charles Ponzi, who in the 1920s carried out a scheme to trade international reply coupons, which were a kind of return postage coupon at the time that could be exchanged for stamps. He discovered that due to currency exchange rates and the high level of inflation in Europe at the time, you could buy these coupons in Italy and then exchange them in the US for stamps and sell those stamps for a profit. He had 18 investors initially and promised them 50% interest every 90 days. But in reality, he wasn't even trading international reply coupons. He was just taking the money of later investors and using it to pay off his earlier backers. And it kept going for many years since many of his investors never even withdrew their money. They just reinvested their profits. So all he had to do was update their account balances on paper. Yet eventually it was exposed that if Ponzi was really trading international reply coupons like he said he was, there would have to be 150 million coupons in circulation. Yet at the time there were only 27,000. He would have needed ships the size of the Titanic to carry the coupons from Europe over to the US. When it all came crashing down for Ponzi, the scheme lost about 200 million in 2021 dollars. And all of his investors lost about 70 cents on every dollar they invested with Ponzi. Now fast forward to China in 2022. Chinese real estate companies, the largest of which is Evergrande, use a similar tactic to sell real estate to Chinese consumers. It's called the pre-sale. They take a down payment, often up to 40%, and then the buyers start making mortgage payments immediately, even before their homes have started construction. But these companies have become so highly leveraged that they use the money from pre-sale proceeds to finish construction on their previous projects or pay off loans associated with previous projects. The money that pays for the current project actually comes from the next pre-sale that is nothing to do with this one and could even be tied to a project in a completely different city. Now this was all running fine, just like Ponzi's scheme, until 2020 when Chinese authorities tightened rules in the real estate market. This caused 25 real estate companies to default on their debt, including Evergrande, which defaulted last December. These defaults shut many of these companies out of the credit market in China, which meant they could no longer get loans from banks to provide them with liquidity during the building process while they waited for the proceeds of the next pre-sale. They had no choice but to halt construction on many projects. It is estimated that 4% of homes in China are now caught up in construction halts. This has crushed confidence in the industry. And since about mid-2021, home sales and investments in real estate in China have been declining every month, leading to even less pre-sale revenue and more projects that need to be halted. And this is when buyers of apartments in the Dynasty Mansions project decided to write their letter and give their ultimatum to Evergrande. And this prompted buyers and investors involved in construction halts in many other provinces to do the same. Some even stopped paying right away. They shared open letters across social media apps like WeChat and the Chinese version of TikTok. Of course, Chinese censors did their best to stifle dissent, limiting access to document sharing sites like Google Docs or Notion, where these open letters were being shared. However, one site, GitHub, could not be censored since it was essential to many Chinese tech firms, and open letters continued to circulate there. About 300 projects in 120 cities in China now face mortgage boycotts over halted construction. The value of those projects is estimated at about 300 billion US dollars. Now you may think that this is just one sector of the economy in China, and as long as other sectors are still doing all right, China's economy should all stay afloat, right? I mean, not everyone invests in real estate anyway, right? Well, in China, the home ownership rate is about 89%. Compare that with the rate in the US, which is 65%, and then look at what the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis did to our economy. In addition to ownership of one's primary residence, investing in real estate is also the main way that Chinese people invest, with 70% of their collective wealth tied up in real estate. And by some estimates, 25% of China's GDP is tied up in the real estate sector too. Now, the Chinese regime has stepped in to try and patch things up, pushing banks to loan the money required to get these projects done. There's talk of a possible mortgage holiday, and also talk of a government fund being set up to provide liquidity to distressed developers. But the last time the Chinese authorities got involved in 2020, it actually caused a deeper crisis. Yet with that October 20th date looming, which also coincides with the Chinese Communist Party's Congress, a politically sensitive time, the clock is ticking. Thank you for watching Dirty Money. We'll keep an eye on this story, so please subscribe for new videos every Monday.